Welcome to Random America once again, where we have this thing to try out, the Amaguk Backcountry Experimental, which was a freeware upload at the Org Forum. Seems very much like the Cessna amphibian from first look of it. Yeah, okay. So today we'll depart from Green River Muni Airfield, which seems nice enough, bit basic, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's flat. Alright, just messing with the flaps. I've decided on having some flap for takeoff. Looked like there was a long enough runway, and I'm not expecting this thing to use too much of it anyway to get up into the air. That needs some decals on this ortho, doesn't it? That's yeah. Take off first and I'll explain. Let's go for it. Ooh, yeah, it didn't rotate there, that just got into the air all by itself. So, we are flying. Yeah, seems to be going okay so far, this plane. So yeah, not just a new plane, this is also some new ortho. For America I already had the California, Arizona and Nevada. This new one is Utah, so it kind of completes a square, sort of. If you're not particularly worried about your squares actually being square. But anyway, found this one as a ready to download offering, so I did download it. Yeah, from a very brief look it seems to all be working and looking nice, although I did notice on our taxi to the runway that it doesn't appear to have decals, so it is a bit blurry close up. No worries, I can soon sort that out with a batch file or whatever it is that I did last time. Yeah, and that will take considerably less time to do than it took to download this Utah ortho as well. It wasn't a torrent, it was a link to a big zip file, and the site gave you two options. For a relatively small fee you get high-speed downloads and some other benefits too, or for free you can still download the file without paying anything, but we're going to cap your speed to try and annoy you enough where you do pay the fee. But guess what, having the download running in the background for just over 2 days doesn't bother me at all, so screw you and your pathetic download speed cap. It's a site called flyawaysimulation.com if you wanted to have a look, by the way. Does seem to be some good stuff there. And did notice they have ortho for the whole of Australia ready-made too. That's a much bigger file size than Utah. So it might be 3 or 4 days to download that one for free. Never mind, that may get it one day, maybe. Still do a lot of my flying in New Zealand, and I'm thinking that, yeah, Australian ortho. So just checking exactly are we are going in the right direction. That is one of the nice little touches about this plane, it has a built-in AVI tab. Anyway, yeah, I still do a lot of my flying in New Zealand, and that Australian ortho scenery might depend a little bit on what aircraft I'm flying and how long a trip over the Tasman between the two countries might take. Now, I recently had a look around the Org store, watched a few videos, and there are some nice planes out there, but nothing inspired me quite enough to pull the trigger and buy one, especially as I have got a sort of plan B in the back of my mind, namely the X-Plane Default MD-82. Now, I always liked the look of the thing and have thought before that maybe I should teach myself how to fly it. And now I've had a more serious look at it and watched some tutorials. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe the MD-82 might join my hangar of regular aircraft. That would be something I could potentially use for an Auckland to Sydney trip or whatever, I don't know. Yeah, but an MD-82 is certainly not going to be any good for our destination today, Mexican Mountain Airfield. Well, that's if it's still called that, and Donald Trump hasn't renamed Mexican Mountain to American White People Mountain. Or perhaps we should just be grateful that Mexican Mountain hasn't been deported yet and it is still here. We'll see how we do with this plane, which I've got to say is quite nice. Certainly some good things to say, but mostly I'm noticing the gauges, not the most crisp and clear textures on them. And the default 172, in my head that's a better looking sort of cockpit for a very similar kind of aircraft. So I think this might be a one trip only for this one, and it'll be getting deleted after we land. I'll use the 172 if ever I wanted something like this again. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to find at this place, but I'm not expecting much more than a runway. Doesn't seem to be any major signs of civilization around here. To be honest, I'm struggling to think as to why an airfield would be here, but there is one, so we may as well land at it. Yeah, quite liking the look of this Utah Ortho, all these rocks and mountains and stuff. Seems like a pretty kind of area to have a fly around in. Is it Salt Lake City, the main location in this state? I can't remember. Right then, so we have an airstrip down. Okay, I can see it. Not much chance of getting down to it from here. So we'll fly past, and with the winds just being light and variable today, it's no problem to come in from the other end. Yeah, in fact, coming in the other end can be quite enjoyable at times, I've found. Yeah, although now Trump has said something about visitors to the US will have to provide access to their social media before they are allowed in. I think we can safely say that I'm not going to be going to America anytime soon in real life. So this is as good as it's going to get. It's a nice little valley, this. The colours, the rock formations in this part of the world, they do remind me of a science fiction kind of landscape. Welcome to Tatooine. Try and avoid the Sand People on final approach. Okay, a bit high, but looks like quite a long runway, so I'm not going to be too bothered if we float too far and land long on this one. Although we don't seem to be doing too badly. If I can get on the centre line. Okay, so you have Great Landings rated as butter. So to keep with the food analogy, that one was a slightly stale biscuit where one corner of it has broken off. Is that the terminal? One chair and a coffee table. Okay, yeah. Right then, the aircraft, pretty good, but just not one I'll keep personally. The ortho will be better when I put some decals on it, but seems nice enough and I'm happy with that. And that will do for another video, so see you soon when it's probably about time to get back to finishing the Palawan mission tour, I think, so might do one of those next. Okay, see you soon. Bye.